Und das Highlight, das wartet jetzt auf uns, nämlich die Truck-Europameisterschaft der Goodyear 4 wird los. Und wir sehen hier gerade Clemens Hecker. Lina, jetzt habe ich dir das Mikrofon geklaut, weil du ein ganz kurzes Päuschen machst. Ich finde, du machst einen Top-Job hier gerade. Es hat super viel Spaß gemacht, dir zuzusehen. Ich reiche dir das jetzt auch einmal noch mal so förmlich rüber.
Ja, ich freue mich sehr, dass Christina jetzt übernimmt. Die Motoren, die werden gerade schon angeworfen. Jetzt geht eigentlich das los, worauf alle hier warten. Die große Truck-Europameisterschaft.
So sieht's aus. Und deswegen, Hacker, wir müssen jetzt gucken, dass wir gleich aus dem Bild gehen. Lina, wir hören und sehen dich natürlich nachher wieder. Was haben wir noch Tolles im Programm mit dir?
Wir haben nachher noch Star Games. Wir gehen noch ein bisschen Daten. Wir zeigen euch natürlich noch, was hier so an Trubel los ist. Aber jetzt ist erstmal Christina ran für euch hier am Start. Ich übergebe mit viel Freude das Mikrofon.
Danke dir. Bis später, Lina. Also komm, wir gehen mal los. Und eine Sache noch vorab. Wir sind bilingual unterwegs. Deswegen, hello everyone. Welcome to the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. Yes, you've been listening to me in German. Right now it's like the Eurovision Song Contest. We are bilingual on the way. Right now German and in English. I'm going to translate everything. Also, wir sind heute bilingual unterwegs. Das heißt, ich werde so gut es geht alles versuchen zu übersetzen für euch, damit niemand was verpasst. Nicht die International Viewers, hi, und natürlich auch nicht ihr, die ihr zuschauen werdet. Und da wird auch noch mal gewunken von Jill und wir gucken und sind live dabei, wie es hier gleich richtig losgeht zum Qualifying. Es ist das erste Qualifying an diesem Wochenende. It is the first qualifying at this weekend. And of course, we are so excited to be finally back here at the ring, the famous, the legendary Nürburgring. Hier im Nürburgring sind wir zurück zum ersten Mal. Und das hier ist der Leader of the Pack. Das ist Norbert Kisch. Und er führt mal wieder das Klassement an. Aber es geht natürlich auch darum, jetzt eine richtig starke Zeit zu fahren, um auf Pole Position zu kommen. So he's the leader of the pack, currently leading. But of course, it is so important for him to get the best time right now at this qualifying. Denn es gab jemanden, der war gerade im freien Training noch ein bisschen stärker und das war nämlich Jochen Hahn. Na klar, es ist sein Homeground und dementsprechend kennt er jeden Grashalm hier. Insofern kennt er sich ganz gut aus. So in English, Jochen Hahn, he was very good at the free practice right now. He was in the lead there. Right now we've seen Antonio Albacetti passing by. Wir haben hier gerade Antonio Albacetti noch mal gesehen mit der 23. And of course it is his home ground from Jochen Hahn. So he knows everything, the history and the past and the current situation of the Nürburgring. So this is why he, of course, he had set a good time. But we are very curious what they've done there at the Team Revers with the setup. Wir sind natürlich total neugierig, was sie beim Team Revers jetzt mit dem Setup gerade noch gemacht haben, damit ja vielleicht der Norbert Kisch jetzt gerade noch mal eine bessere Zeit einfahren kann. Ich glaube, er wird das Ganze heute challengen. Also, wir gehen jetzt hier noch mal ein kleines bisschen runter. Vielen Dank an unseren Kamerakollegen. Und das ist immer die beste Aufgabe, ne? Gehen und sprechen. Walking and talking. Speaking of walking and talking, we do got our commentators back on set. Wir haben natürlich unsere Kommentatoren. Chaz Draker, der englische Kommentator. Wir haben Jörg Hennig und wir haben Fonsi Sebrian. Hola, tres linguas, todo. Para ti, viel Spaß erstmal. Have fun, guys.
Thank you, Christina. Yes, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Nürburgring and welcome to what's going to be the halfway point of the 2025 season here in the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. I'm Chaz Draycott, English commentator for the series, and I'm delighted to be here at the Nürburgring on site at the Truck Grand Prix this weekend. The weather has been typically Nürburgring-esque. It was really, really hot yesterday, baking sunshine all day, and today it's been cloudy with just the odd little burst of sunshine to enjoy here and there. But being British, my girlfriend and I have powered through it so far this weekend. We've been in t-shirts and shorts all morning, and we are adamant to try and get them out as often as we can. But we hope you're enjoying your weekend wherever you may be around the world. It's different, of course, for us to be here on the Friday with a live stream, but we're certainly excited to get qualifying done out of this Friday afternoon, and it'll give the teams a bit more time between the two sessions to prepare for race 1, which will come up tomorrow. It's going to be 10:30 local time tomorrow, and then race 2 will be 2 in the afternoon. We have another qualifying session which will be coming up on Sunday at 9:05 in the morning as well, so a nice early start when it comes to our Sunday. But as you see, not too many people in the grandstands here today. A lot of the crowd will arrive tomorrow, but Friday is a nice chilled day here at the Nürburgring for the Truck Grand Prix. A lot of the teams are preparing and just making sure everything's all fine-tuned ahead of the racing action. At the moment, though, in the championship, it is Norbert Kisch leading the way, 155 points to him. He's taken so far this season 9 race victories out of the 10 races that we've had. We've had 2 cancellations so far this year at the Lausitz Ring just a couple of months ago and the Slovakia Ring as well. The final races of both weekends unfortunately being cancelled due to a mixture of weather and track conditions being unsuitable to run the trucks in. Jochen Hahn is second in the championship at the moment on 116 points. He's got a good advantage over Steffi Halm, who currently finds herself in third. René Reinert, the only other driver to win a race this season other than Norbert Kisch, he is currently fourth. Let's have a look at the track layout, though. A lot of you know the Nürburgring and know of the Nürburgring Nordschleife, which I was very grateful to go around yesterday in the back of a bus, funnily enough, as part of the efficiency run that the championship has been doing here this weekend. But for this weekend, we are not on the Grand Prix circuit, not the full thing, because that is down where the Michael Schumacher S and the Dunlop Kara is. That is going to be used for the Mullenbach Schleife and the music festival, the fireworks and everything. It's a great big party down there. So we're on the what used to be called the school layout of the circuit. We've got a tighter hairpin early on in the lap that takes us back to the Bilstein Curve and towards the latter part of the lap. But lap times around here, still pretty long indeed. It's a Grand Prix length circuit, so there's not really anything for the drivers to worry about in terms of it being cut a bit shorter than it would be on the full Grand Prix layout. As mentioned, though, air temperature just 17 degrees here today, but it's very windy, as it often is here at the Nürburgring, up in the Eifel region. It is gorgeous, but oh boy, is it windy. It certainly does change the weather every half hour quite drastically. But we're excited to be back and certainly looking forward to seeing what the weekend holds in terms of racing action. It's always an exciting one because you never know what you're going to get. Will Jochen Hahn take a very well-received victory on home soil? We'll have to wait and see. Let's head back down to Christina.
Und wie ihr alle sehen könnt, hier das komplette Line-Up. Wir haben in diesem Wochenende tatsächlich 17 Trucks, die mitfahren bei der Europameisterschaft. So we do have 17 trucks competing here at the International Championship. Oh, I do hear myself over the speakers right now with a small delay. Let's come on, get going. The teams are absolutely prepped and in a good mood, or aren't they? Ihr seid gut drauf, oder?
Bitte? Ja, klar.
No problem, no problem.
Was ist euer Ziel?
So weit wie möglich nach vorne fahren.
It's always the goal. Danke dir. To get up in front. So right now, a small team chat. As you can see, there's really a lot of going on. Those are the smaller cars right now. But we turn around and see the giant trucks there are lining up. Of course, the Championship Order. Wir gucken mal und sehen natürlich jetzt, dass alle Trucks, so wie sie auch im Championship stehen, jetzt natürlich jetzt hier aufreihen. Und es geht darum, erstmal die bessere Zeit einzufahren. Aber vielleicht die ersten 6, 10 nicht ganz so schnell. Denn man muss natürlich immer wieder gucken, wie man das Ganze macht mit dem Reifenmanagement und zu schauen, dass man jetzt nicht alles raushaut, sondern erstmal in das nächste Qualifying reinkommt. Denn wir haben 3 Abschnitte, jetzt geht es erstmal darum, die ersten 10 zu definieren. Dann kommt der nächste Abschnitt für die Top 6 und dann kommt natürlich das Ganze nochmal von vorne. Insofern, viel Spaß jetzt erstmal. Chaz, back to you. Small explanation from down here.
Thank you, Christina. Great to see all the trucks lining up in the pit lane. And yes, as you've all seen, everyone, this broadcast this weekend, a little bit different here at the Truck Grand Prix, but Christina very impressively going between German and English at the drop of a hat. And it's certainly makes life easier for me up here in the commentary box. I've got a wonderful office, actually, for this weekend. In previous events, when I've been commentating on site, I've ended up in what can only be described at Harama as a shoe cupboard. But this time, we've got a nice little office to look forward to staying in for the remainder of the weekend. It's good to have Stefan Kirsch back with us this weekend. He remains in the championship as a full-time entrant in the number 33 MAN. We saw him at Misano, but unfortunately, due to injury, he was ruled out of Lausitz Ring and Slovakia Ring. And we have him back with us now for the remainder of the season by the look of it. We've got Lucas Hahn here as a race-by-race entrant. Another wonderful addition to the grid. As the trucks head out onto the track now, Norbert Kisch leading them out in championship order. Then it'll be Jochen Hahn, Steffi Halm. René Reinert should be next up, but we do not see René in the pit lane just yet. I'm in the advantageous position of being able to look out the window and see. I think he's a bit further back in the pack. Yeah, he is. He's a bit later on in the queue. You could see they were all keeping the trucks on the right-hand side of the pit lane, waiting to keep that fast lane clear for him to make his way down. But unfortunately, didn't make it down there. Well, not in time anyway. He's made it out onto the circuit at least. Joining him on the circuit then, we have Sasha Lenz, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, Antonio Albacete, Bradley Smith, Mark Taylor, Heinrich Clemens Hecker. We have Stefan Faast, John Newell, the two of them just on screen there. Louis Requenco just behind, then Luke Garrett in the number 42 machine. Lucas Hahn there in truck 22. The Febby Bilstein branded Iveco as part of Team Hahn Racing. And then Christian Ruppert as well in the number 29. Ruppert Motorsport MAN. See, now you look at these pictures here and it looks sunny and beautiful and really, really hot out there, but I can promise you it's been freezing all morning. Trying to remain warm while walking around the paddock has not been easy at all. So to reiterate the qualifying format for you all then, we have this 15-minute session to start us off. All of the trucks involved in this one. We should have 18 of them in this qualifying session, which is absolutely awesome. A huge grid for the championship this year. With great support. We should have Jonathan Andre out there, I believe, but I don't think I've seen him on the circuit just yet. But hopefully we'll catch a glimpse of the Lion Truck Sport number 66. There is Mark Taylor, truck number 81. It's great to see Mark and the team yesterday. We had a little walk down the paddock in the evening and bumped into Alan, Mark's dad. Great bloke, absolutely lovely bloke, so kind. And he was feeling a bit more confident now than they were after the Slovakia ring. Not a great weekend for them there. 6th, 5th and 6th in the 3 races that we had, while their main rival and compatriot, Bradley Smith, took a victory in class, then a 2nd and then a 3rd. It was an interesting weekend for Clemens Hecker, who took his first class win at the Slovakia ring as well. He won race 3 of the weekend. And a good showing from Stefan Faas. He also took a win with 2 second places at the Slovakia ring. So great performances from him. Norbert Kish leads us then on to the first set of qualifying laps. As explained, we'll have a 15-minute session here with all the trucks involved. And then after that, we will whittle it down to 12, who will make their way into Q2. They will then get 10 minutes to set a lap time, as it's a big old lock up there actually by Stefan Kirsch into the first corner. Once we've got the 12 out on circuit for 10 minutes, we'll then whittle it back down to just 6, and those 6 trucks will have just 5 minutes to set a lap time. So they're really up against it in that last session. A lot of the time they will only put 1 lap time on the board. There's Jochen Hahn. A lot of pressure on his shoulders this weekend to perform here at the Nürburgring. Had a good laugh with him earlier actually after the autograph session. Wonderful to see him again as well. Just behind on the circuit there you have Steffi Halm in 3rd position. She's making her way around in this first qualifying session. René Reinert will be not too far behind as well. Sasha Lenz will be 5th in the queue and hoping to, well, follow on from some of the guys in front and make the most of this opening part of the session. He struggled here last time out, but we think that he's going to be a bit more confident now after the Slovakia ring. He got a podium in the first race of the weekend, a 4th place, but then in the 3rd race of the weekend, unfortunately, didn't make it out, and will be definitely hoping to turn that around here. Norbert Kish then, first lap on the board. Nearly 2 minutes a lap here still with this longer circuit. 1 minute 54.3 for him, 0.8 of a second clear of Jochen Hahn. Csaba was saying earlier on he wasn't as confident as he would have liked to have been after finishing 2nd in the 2nd of the 3 practice sessions. But 0.8 of a second between them shows that they are definitely confident now. Sasha Lenz and Steffi Halm, 0.9 of a second back. Stefan Kirsch puts his first time on the board as René Reinert goes up to 2nd. Antonio Albacete goes 3rd. But look at that, 3 of them there separated by barely anything, barely 1/10 of a second. Times coming through now from Sasha Lenz, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, Bradley Smith and Stefan Kirsch. Mark Taylor is one of the first Chrome drivers to put a time on the board. He goes 7th fastest overall. Don't forget, it's the top 12 that go through here into this second part of the qualifying session. And the number 38, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, is having his lap deleted for track limits. He's hit one of the penalty markers around the circuit. You'll see them dotted about everywhere. They are these humongous bollards. As Lucas Hahn, well, welcome back to the 2025 season, Lucas. He goes 2nd fastest to begin with. So close there, though. There's a good 6 trucks, all separated by a 1/10 and a half. Oh, sorry, 2.5 tenths. I do apologise. But amazingly close between all of those drivers. A number of them will be really happy with that, not to mention that man there, René Reiner. 3rd fastest for him in the number 77 machine. A number of them will end up back into the pit lane now until the start of Q2. Sometimes when they set a decent enough lap, they will be confident that they will still make it through into the top 12. And they will move on into the next part of the session. But this is now the quieter part, where they all have a bit of a cool-down lap and then make sure the trucks are within a good operating window, make sure the brakes are at a decent temperature. So important, brake temperature here in truck racing. And they will wind it up for another go. We'll definitely see John Newell, Louis Requenco, Luke Garrett, Clemens Hecker, Stefan Kirsch and Christian Ruppert back out there. But what about Lucas Hahn, truck 22? 2nd fastest. Norbert Kish 7 tenths clear, yes, but Lucas straight back into the swing of things here with a wonderful lap time on the board. Jochen Hahn, his father, ended up in 5th place with Sasha Lenz alongside him. But obviously that's not gospel. That's not completely written and done. We've got a long old time of the session left before anything is, well, finished with dotted I's and crossed T's, so to speak. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, I believe, has now had his lap time deleted. Yes, he has. He's basically got his out lap that now counts for him. So officially at the moment, he's 27.5 seconds off the pace. But we know that that's going to change in the near future. Clemens Hecker stays out then, continues on with his session. Stefan Fast next up behind him. Luke Garrett out there as well in the number 42. I was speaking to his team earlier this morning about the damage that they received at Misano after the contact with Antonio Albacete. They were showing us the panels that they had to refit and reshape and all sorts. It made a real mess of the cab. I reckon that it does still need a new cab eventually to sort of get it back to how it was. It's walking wounded at the minute. So is this man too, apparently. Not Clemens himself, but the 25 Scania apparently having boost issues earlier on in the day. I'll be hoping that that isn't something that plagues them for the rest of it, although down in 14th place overall, it seems like they aren't quite on the pace that we'd expect, with a couple of podiums in their class already this season. 3rd in the championship too. Luke Garrett on screen now. Luke at the moment 7th in the championship. He's had a DNF and a did not start as well. And we're going to quickly go back down to Christina.
Ja, so sieht's aus. Wir sind mal bei Antonio Albacete und ihr seht vor allen Dingen auch, dass die Trucks beim Qualifying noch in einem richtig guten Zustand sind. Die Farben sind noch da, sie strahlen. Tim Frost guckt noch so ein bisschen, weiß nicht, skeptical or in a good mood?
I'm in a good mood. After so much bad luck, you can only be positive. So I've swapped all my socks from left to right. So hopefully this is the look we need to change.
That's good. Also er sagt natürlich, das Team Albacete, der hatte ja ein bisschen Pech gehabt. Deswegen hat er gesagt, nein, jetzt gerade sind wir in einer richtig guten Stimmung. Und man muss das vor allen Dingen auch manchmal noch mal ändern. Antonio, it's going to be a fierce battle between you and maybe Reinhard for the good qualification timing. How is it going?
Well, I mean, it's a little bit difficult. It's different than this morning. I feel that there is less grip than this morning, even with the new tires. So, I don't know. I will try to push hard, to do my best, and I will try to be as faster as this morning, but it's going to be a little bit difficult.
Also was ich verstanden habe, ist, dass er auch natürlich gesagt hat, dass es ein bisschen schwieriger heute wird, da eine gute Zeit zu fahren. Ehrlicherweise fuhren gerade die Trucks hier noch vorbei. Dementsprechend, ihr merkt, wie laut es hier ist auf der Strecke und das ist ja so großartig. Aber eine Sache wirklich noch, one thing for everyone at the audience, it is a clean championship. Es ist wirklich ein sauberer Wettbewerb durch den HVO Biodiesel. Es riecht total gut hier, wirklich total entspannt, richtig gut. Dann gehen wir mal hier rum. Wir sehen hier nämlich auch die Finne auf jedem Truck drauf. So the 100% renewable HVO diesel, absolutely clean championship, always good to see. And so back to Chess, also zurück zu Chess und natürlich unseren deutschen Kommentatoren mit Ebi und Jörg. Viel Spaß.
Thank you, Christina. Fantastic to hear from Antonio Albacete there with what is a difficult weekend ahead of him for sure. There's a lot of drivers find this is a bit of a bogey circuit for them, to be honest. It's a difficult circuit to set a truck up for because there's a lot of different sections here. You've got the Mercedes-Benz Arena that's very start-stop. It's all very sharp corners. But then you've got the fast-flowing corners of the later part of the lap. Before then, another very slow start-stop chicane. We have just had a message come through with a driver, I believe, having a time deleted for track limits. So unfortunately, they will be suffering from that one. That is John Newell that has had the number 18 lap time deleted. He was under investigation for track limits before that. Same goes as well for the number 25 of Clemens Hecker. So just to add insult to injury to the fact that he's been having issues with the truck itself, he is now having his lap times deleted for track limits, so it doesn't get any better for him. Louis Requenco currently running in 14th place outside of Q1. He had quite a good time at the Slovakia ring. He was very, very promising in terms of pace, but then when it came to the race results, he was involved in a lot of battles. He made quite a crucial mistake in the second race of the weekend that cost him positions, but he was confident after that one that he would be here and at the sharp end in the Chrome class again. But at the moment, it's Mark Taylor currently at the top of that. Ninth fastest for Mark Taylor at present. Bradley Smith 10th overall. Of course, Lucas Hahn actually competing in the Chrome class this weekend as well. So Lucas, well, streaking ahead of the rest of them right now as it stands. He's always gone well here. He took his first overall race victory here a couple of years ago in a very emotional scene with Jochen Hahn, his father, congratulating him as well. It was a wonderful moment. And we hope that Lucas returns to the series with a similar amount of success. It looks like it at the moment, though. Second fastest. He may be 7/10 of a second off Norbert Kish, but Norby once again this year just showing how ferocious his pace can be as Louis Requenco climbing those curbs big time. Really attacking them with that front right. You need to be careful over there because while these trucks, they are strong, they are beefy pieces of kit, they will break a spring and they will damage the suspension over such curbs. Great shot there of the roller coaster that runs alongside the start-finish straight here at the Nürburgring. It's a very unique place for stuff like that. As Louis Requenco begins his own roller coaster of a lap to try and improve on 13th position. He's back ahead of Luke Garrett after that previous lap, but he's still 4/10 off. Speaking of Luke Garrett, there he is, heading out of the chicane into the final corner now in this wonderful asymmetric livery that he has this year. Yellow on the right, blue on the left. He's got some fancy overalls to match it as well, he was showing us this morning. Christian Ruppert crosses the line. He does his best lap of the session. Luke Garrett does not. He does a 1:57.1. His best is a 1:56.9 in this session, so he was still a couple of tenths off. But importantly for him, he's crossed the line before the checkered flag has fallen and before the timer has gotten to 0, so he can complete this lap. Will he knock John Newell out of the top 12? That's going to be the all-important battle of the Brits there, I think. Although Taylor and Smith battling at the top of the championship in Chrome. Let's quickly head back down though and speak to Lina, shall we?
Ja, wir sind jetzt hier gerade, wie man immer so schön sagt, beim Leader of the Pack, also beim Klassement führenden Norbert Kish. Und der hat schon wieder eine ganz gute Zeit rausgehauen. Hier geht es ja jetzt gerade darum, natürlich sich zu positionieren. Und dementsprechend der Motor läuft noch. So the engine is still running. He had a good pace. And obviously slight improvement till this morning. Hi Norby, good to see you. Slight improvement to the timings this morning. What did you change?
Sorry, I didn't really hear you.
Better time than the free practice.
Is it? Yeah, we try to improve step by step, but I think also, the weather is getting hotter, the circuit is getting hotter, so it will be a bit more difficult to improve the lap time. Just try to make a lap without a big mistake.
Also es geht jetzt darum, dass er natürlich sagt, ja, seit heute Morgen haben wir ein bisschen was geändert und es ist auch noch mal wärmer geworden und es geht immer darum, natürlich auch eine bessere Zeit einzufahren. Aber es ist ja total spannend auf dieses Management. So it's in between waiting time, staying in focus. How do you manage this qualifying here on Friday?
We do this every weekend, so it's not so bad. I mean, you get used to it, and you just have to be able to switch, on and off very quickly. Otherwise, you are in trouble in track racing.
We need to switch also. Thank you very much. Also er sagt, natürlich ist es so, dass sie das jetzt jedes Wochenende, im Rennwochenende so haben. Genau diese Zeit, hier zu stehen, zu warten, mal auf das Timing zu schauen und dann umzuswitchen, sagt er, dann muss man natürlich sofort da sein. Und das könnt ihr euch natürlich vorstellen, das geht manchmal sehr, sehr schnell. Und jetzt hört ihr mal, wie laut, aber auch gemütlich die Lautstärke ist von so einem laufenden Motor. As you can hear the rumbling machine, but it's really quite a noise that we love because it's also very calm and quiet down here sometimes. Back to you. Tschüss für euch.
Yeah, that's the thing. While they are amazing mammoth racing machines and very, very noisy, it's still very calming when they're all just sort of rumbling away in the pit lane like that. And they all now just sit and wait for the next session to begin. There was a deletion of a lap time for Louis Riquenco at the end of that. He's now fallen back behind Luke Garrett into 14th place, and the session has come to a close. So the drivers that will be fixed in their grid positions will be Luke Garrett in 13th, Louis Riquenco, as mentioned, now into 14th. Stefan Kirsch will be 15th. Clement Hecker will not be pleased with 16th position. He really will not. He is ahead of Christian Ruppert, who will start 17th. The other 12 drivers will now go through into qualifying 2, which will be a 10-minute session, and then they will secure their spots from 7th down to 12th. Anybody that finishes ahead of that will have to go again in Q3. And that, again, is just a short session, just 5 minutes. Not too long to set a decent lap time at all, especially when we go to circuits like the Slovakia ring. It's nearly a 4.5 minute outlap, so the drivers have to really get on with it. And it's going to be similar around here. It's 2 minutes on a fast lap, so a lot of the in laps that we've been seeing have been anywhere between 2 minutes 40 to 3 minutes 5 by the look of the timing screen. So if they have a slow outlap, they'll still be okay to get a time on the board, but maybe they could get 2. So we'll have to wait and see who manages that. John Newell will be happy to have gotten through into Q2. He wasn't classified in either of the practice sessions earlier this morning, so I know that he's going to be a lot happier to have actually gotten out there and set a decent representative time. I just wonder now who will come out on top. You can see there Steffi Halm's number 44 machine and Lucas Hahn's number 22. Very similar liveries, just slightly different colour scheme. Let's go back to Christina.
Ja, und wir haben mal so einen ganz kleinen Modevorschlag für euch, nämlich Yogi, guck mal bitte, hat den Bart extra angepasst, oder war es eine verlorene Wette?
Nein, keine verlorene Wette. Er hat nur gedacht, wenn nicht jetzt, wann dann? Einmal in Blau.
Also man sieht, du drückst da natürlich Team Hahn die Daumen. Das ist hier für euch das Heimrennen. Was bedeutet das, hier dabei zu sein?
Also ich bin ja nicht die ganze Saison dabei, aber Nürburgring ist einfach, ich finde, das Highlight. Geilste Event von der Truck-Meisterschaft, muss man einfach dabei sein.
Und wir sind live dabei. Wir drehen uns mal um. Vielen Dank, Yogi, dass es nämlich hier tatsächlich gleich wieder losgeht. Das heißt also, ihr seht alles, die Ampel steht gleich wieder auf grün. So, quick translation for you guys. This is Yogi, team member of Jochen Hahn. Obviously, the blue is matching the truck. He said, yeah, we need to do something special for this special weekend here, always competing. Here is so different, but also special on homeground for Team Jochen Hahn. And they are lining up right now here. Also es geht hier jetzt gleich wieder los in der nächsten Sektion und dementsprechend viel Spaß, have fun.
Yeah, great to see the guys enjoying themselves down there in the pit lane as everybody now lines up for the next part of qualifying 2. They'll go out now in the order that they just finished the previous session, which is why you see Lucas Hahn there slotting into second place with René Reinert just behind, then Antonio Albacete. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez eventually doing enough to get through after the early deletion of his lap time. Mark Taylor also in the session, same with Bradley Smith. Stefan Kirsch will make his way back into the paddock. The paddock entrance for the trucks is at that part of the pit lane that Antonio Albacete was just heading through there. And now we go back out for part 2 of qualifying. Norbert Kish will lead us away after being on top by about 0.7 of a second on that previous lap. He'll definitely want to be maintaining that sort of gap. Sascha Lenz there heading out as well. He didn't have such a clean run in that first qualifying session, but he'll be okay. We know that Sascha is a real fighter. He'll make sure that he does everything in his power to be up at the sharp end of the order. He was really pleased at the Slovakia ring to get the team's first overall podium of the season. He qualified 3rd on the grid as well for that, so worked very hard for it. There's Stefan Faas in there as well in the Freightliner. Great to see a Freightliner back in the championship. He had a nightmarish start to the season though. Misano was 3 DNFs. He didn't even start race 2. And then at the Lausitz ring, he had a 12th place, a 14th place, both out of the points, and then a DNF in race 3. And I don't think the truck was ready to go out in race 4 either. But of course, race 4 was cancelled, so we never got a chance to find out. But then he returned on really good form at the Slovakia ring. He was 9th overall in the first race, so securing his first overall championship points of the season. Then a 7th, and then a 4th as well in the final race of the weekend. He took a 2nd, a 1st, and a 2nd in the Chrome class for that weekend. So some big points for him and Tank Pool 24 Racing. They've got another fantastic turnout here at the Truck Grand Prix this weekend. They've brought their infamous Zorro truck with them, which is a rigid that basically has a Western saloon built into the back end of it, and they bring their own branded drinks and everything. It's a really, really good laugh. I'm hoping to see that on Saturday night and sample some of said liquid. But John Newell there, he'll be really pleased as well. I'm sure we might see him down there as well. He's currently 12th after that first session and will want to try and improve for the remainder of this one. Norbert Kish follows the sunlight down the start-finish straight. You can see the cloud just moving over the circuit here at the Nürburgring, as it constantly is. It's got its own climate here. It's like a different planet being on the Nürburgring. But everybody is absolutely lovely that is here this weekend. There's been such a positive vibe to start the weekend. It's not even Saturday yet. Antonio Albacete there ahead of his old sparring partner Jochen Hahn. Steffi Halm just behind as well. Great season so far for Steffi. She's having a really, really good time. At Misano, she had 2 3rd places and 2 4th places. Her worst result of the season has actually been a 7th overall. She's had 2 of them, one at the Lausitz ring and one at Slovakia ring. But along the way, she's had 5 podiums and 7 top 5 finishes. So she's on cloud 9 at the minute. 84 points in the championship. 3rd place ahead of René Reinert, Sascha Lenz, the likes of Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, Antonio Albacete as well. Albacete's had a very difficult start to the championship. I spoke to Tim Frost yesterday evening in the paddock, and when we weren't talking about the height of forklifts, we were talking about how the season is going for Antonio Albacete at present, and not well is the general consensus, as Norbert Kish really pushes it through the Bilstein curve. Goes all over the curb on the left-hand side, kicks up some dust. Most importantly, doesn't hit the penalty marker, and now gets hard on the brakes into the chicane. We're using the slower of the 2 chicanes here this weekend. There's a second chicane that's a lot smoother and a lot quicker. It was previously known as the Blancpain Endurance Series chicane, or the World Endurance Championship chicane, but it's just the longer chicane now, whereas we have the Moto chicane, which is the shorter of the 2. It's a very tight part of the circuit. It really promotes a lot of close racing though. The drivers close in on one another as they head round there, hard on the brakes. And the first time is Norbert Kish's 1:53.6, a second faster than Lucas Hahn, 1.2 seconds give or take ahead of René Reinert. What can Antonio Albacete do? Can he get up there into second place? Yes, he can. Still 0.8 of a second off, though. Not enough to dethrone Norbert Kish. Jochen Hahn goes second fastest. Steffi Halm then slots into fourth. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez ends up in 7th position. Sascha Lenz now retakes that from him, pushes Jose Eduardo down to 8th. Mark Taylor will be next across the line. He now goes 8th. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez not having a representative lap time there, it's safe to say. Bradley Smith, same for him as well, 1.899 seconds off. Bradley seemed pretty confident earlier on, but he was explaining to us that this season, being in the Iveco and being in a completely different truck, he has to relearn every circuit that he goes to. He's raced a number of circuits with us in the past in his MAN that he was racing in last season, but yeah, different kettle of fish now in this Iveco. Stefan Faas will have his lap time deleted for track limits by the look of it. Penalty marker was hit in turn 11, so that invalidates his lap time. Means that now, unfortunately, he has to try again. You can see now only 11 of them showing up on the timing board. We've got John Newell currently in 11th place. He'll be happy to be ahead of a number of his chrome competitors at least. I think he'll have wanted a little bit more than that for the amount of work they've put in so far. We just saw Jochen Hahn there. He's back in his top end spot. He's in 2nd position, but not too far away from him is Antonio Albacete. He's always chasing. There is Stefan Faas in the Freightliner, pushing to get as far around as he can in a very short amount of time. Not too long left in this session. And you can see now as well, all the trucks on the right-hand side staying well out of the way where they can to ensure they don't get in the way of anybody else's lap times as they continue on. Some of them then coming into the pits at the drivers that are quite close down the order, or close to 6th place anyway, will remain on the circuit, because Q3 is only 6 trucks that will go through. So all the drivers want to make sure that they are right up there in that final group. At the moment, going through would be Norbert Kish, Jochen Hahn, Antonio Albacete, Steffi Halm, Lucas Hahn and René Reinert. We would lose Sascha Lenz, Mark Taylor, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, Bradley Smith, John Newell and that man there, Stefan Faas. Sascha Lenz and Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, 2 of the Titan drivers, would definitely not want to miss out on Q3, but interestingly enough for us this season, now that Jose Eduardo Rodriguez has moved up a class, we have 7 Titan drivers as opposed to the 6 that we had in 2024. You can hear the tyres rattling along the circuit there as Lucas Hahn piles the lock on, and well, maybe it was more down to the fact that Stefan Faas was locking up on the way in. He's still got 2 minutes to go, so he could back out of this lap and save the truck for another, but at the end of the day, with him having a lap time deleted, he may as well get this on the board as what we call a banker lap time. At least get some form of time on the board and be classified. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez definitely wanting to improve and head through into the final 6. It'd be strange to lose Sascha Lenz from that final session. He's usually right on the front 2 rows of the grid. Lucas Hahn there, hop, skip and a jump over the curbs. He looks as comfortable as ever already, doesn't he, Lucas Hahn? Straight back into the rhythm. Slightly different livery for him this season, wearing the white and red colours of the Febi Bilstein brand that you'll see on the side of the truck. As Lucas, wow, speak about getting comfortable, up to 2nd position, really cements himself in amongst that group. He is flying at the moment. That is brilliant to see. Continuing on though, what about Sascha Lenz? Can he beat René Reinert's time? No, he can't, and smallest of margins, 0.07 of a second. A little piece of something came off Steffi Halm's truck there. I'm not sure if that was just something being kicked up from on the circuit before, but Sascha Lenz, well, I don't think he's going to, well, he's not going to make it round in time before the session finishes, so this would have to be a fast lap, and it doesn't look like he's pushing for a fast time. Although I don't know, actually. It looked like a very sedate run out of that first corner. But for Sasha, that'll be gutting not to make it through. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez is making one final attempt to get in. Stefan Fast did improve on his lap time, but he's still 2.8 seconds off. He's behind John Newell. John making it up into 11th place. There's René Reiner. He's right on the brink at the moment. 6th position for him. He needs to do his best to improve on that lap time just to make sure that nobody else goes through into that last 6 and puts him 7th. There are a number of drivers behind that could all take that away, but I think, to be fair, with the gaps that he's got, he should be okay. Don't think anybody's improving drastically enough to move up from outside the top 6 and end up in it. You can see that René has backed out of that lap time, and he will now return to the pit lane, keep the truck as cool as possible for the final moments before we will then get everybody lined up for qualifying 3, a quick fire 5-minute session. Lovely bit of airtime for the partners and sponsors of René Reinert's team just there as he heads around the curved pit lane entry. You can see the water trails actually coming off the truck. The water that runs onto the brakes to keep them cool at slow speeds. When the brakes have been applied, the water still trickles out and leaves this rather comical trail of 2 lines of water behind the truck wherever they go. It looks like everybody has backed out of their final laps. And let's go back down to Christina while they come back into the pits.
Ja, 2 sind natürlich noch hier gerade, die warten. Das ist einmal Norbert Kisch und Jochen Hahn. So 2 are waiting here in the line and seeing everybody else on screen, and also Jochen Hahn seeing his son always competing very well. Also Lukas Hahn ist natürlich auch eine super Zeit gerade gefahren. Jochen, so geduldig hier gerade noch in der Warteposition. Wie ist die Taktik dahinter? What is the tactics behind that?
Na, da gibt es keine Taktik. Man muss einfach ruhig bleiben. Jetzt kommt das Q3, da stehen wir drin. Das heißt, jetzt geht es um alles. Also Q1, Q2 sind wir sauber durchgekommen. Jetzt Konzentration, alles nochmal durchgehen, raus, fahren und dann schauen, was dabei rauskommt.
Und das Wetter, die Bedingungen sind ja auch ganz gut. Das heißt, die Reifen haben ein bisschen was drin heute?
Ja, ich glaube, es ist schon noch was drin. Jetzt schauen wir mal, was dabei rauskommt, wie gesagt.
Dankeschön. So, he said, yeah, they need to get the engine starting right now. Also sie müssen natürlich jetzt los. Wetterbedingungen sind hier top mit 18 Grad. Wir gehen mal so ein bisschen aus der Linie raus, tatsächlich für euch. So dicht sind wir dran. Aber tatsächlich hat man auch gemerkt, der 6-fache Champion, der hat natürlich einen absoluten Ruhepuls. Und dementsprechend bin ich gespannt, was er jetzt nochmal für eine Zeit raushauen wird mit seinem Truck Nummer 2. Aber grundsätzlich geht es jetzt darum, auch erstmal zu gucken. Sein Sohn, ne, Lukas Hahn mit der 22, ist jetzt gerade auf Nummer 2. So Chaz, for our English commentator, he's in an absolutely positive mood, and he said, yeah, we need to see what is going to happen, and of course the temperature here right now with like 18 degrees is absolutely perfect for the tire management. Und jetzt geht's gleich los mit dem letzten Qualifying, mit dem Q3. We get started. Viel Spaß.
Thank you, Christina. Always great to hear from Jochen Hahn. As I always say about him, he's got an answer for everything. He knows exactly how to be switched on to the scenario. Similar to what we heard from Norbert Kisch as well earlier. He was so level-headed about the situation that they find themselves in qualifying. A lot of pressure going from one session to the next, because it's not just a case of setting one lap time and then that being everything. You have to do that 3 times under pressure with a very small time limit as well, especially if you're one of the drivers that makes it through into the session we're in now, qualifying 3. This will just be 5 minutes, 6 trucks, and everybody will give it their all. If they get a quick enough outlap though, they might get 2 laps in here. At most other circuits we go to, you only get a chance to put 1 fast lap on the board. It's Norbert Kisch with Lukas Hahn and Jochen Hahn just behind, and then Antonio Albacete and Steffi Halm. Also René Reinert making his way out. But don't worry, the rest of the trucks in the background, as you can see, they're just being guided into the paddock. Bradley Smith and Mark Taylor ready to continue their fight for the top spot in the Chrome Championship this year. I think it's looking like they'll be chasing Lukas Hahn down for a lot of it. this weekend, but big points on offer for those guys, as long as they keep their noses clean. I mean, Mark Taylor hasn't had a podium since the Lausitz Ring in the Chrome class, so he's not having the best run of form at the minute. No points overall from the Slovakia Ring either. Bradley Smith moved ahead of him there after 2 8th places and a 5th overall. But the Titans that are on track now, Norbert Kish, Jochen Hahn, Steffi Halm, René Reinert and Antonio Albacete, will all be doing their best to score some decent overall points, especially in the case of Antonio Albacete. He currently finds himself 7th in the championship after a number of years being in one of the, what we called the Magic Four for a while. It was always Kish, Hahn, Lenz and Albacete on the front 2 rows, but now it's always a bit more of a mix, which is great to see. The competition level is just getting better and better all the time in the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. And here at the Nürburgring, it is no different. Always a circuit that throws up some surprises and throws up some great action for us. 3 minutes left on the clock then. And it is just under 2 minutes per lap. So I think if they're quick enough, some of these guys, if they're eager enough, that is, as well, will get 2 laps on the board. A little bit of a wobble there from Norbert Kish as he heads out of the final chicane. Just tries to get the power down as early as possible to get away from Lucas Hahn. I imagine he's going to be doing a lot of that this weekend. We've seen some, let's call them interesting battles between himself and Lucas in the past here at the Nürburgring. But Norby makes his way across the line in what looks like beautiful conditions right now, actually. The sun is shining well and true here at the Nürburgring. And looking out of the window, it is just as warm as it looks. Let's hope that continues, shall we? Looks like everybody has crossed the line with enough time to do this lap and cross the line before it hits 0. So they could potentially get a pair of laps on the board. René Reinert there in the gorgeous number 77 machine. Bellew is now blue this year, driving Norbert Kish's truck from last season. And he's been really successful with it so far. It has only been Norbert Kish's trucks, basically, that have won races this season, because Norby's won 9 of them, and the other 1 went to René Reinert at the Lausitz Ring. Norby throwing the number 1 truck into the hairpin there. It's a really tricky corner, actually, because you go over a crest on the way in, you're braking, trying to get the truck turned in initially, and then the grip changes completely mid-corner, because you go from going over the top of a crest to suddenly hitting this big compression, and the truck just digs in with the front axle. It's very similar there, actually, on the way into the Bilstein as well, because you go through a long left over a crest and then suddenly an on-camber right-hander. It's like a huge bowl, just throws you down this back straight. Obviously, the trucks are all hitting 100 miles an hour down there, 160 kilometers an hour. They are governed to not exceed that speed, and if they do, then Michael Marek and the FIA will tell them off, basically. Had a very fun evening yesterday, actually, with Michael Marek, as we helped our good friend Andrea Petaro setting up the GPS systems and the checking the signals and everything around the circuit with their lap times in his rental car. Michael Marek decided to join us before he went on a run around the track. I couldn't think of anything worse in the heat, to be honest, but Michael was injecting a lot of hilarious humour into the situation. And it's Norbert Kish then that goes fastest, 153.6. Jochen Hahn just 0.3 of a second off this time round. Lucas Hahn 0.8 down. Steffi Halm next, then René Reinert, then Antonio Albacete is the driver that currently sits in 6th place. But it looks like they've all wound it up for another fast lap, a second lap to go on the board then. So let's see if anybody can improve enough on what they've done before. We'll also keep our eye out if any of them slow down and tone it down a little bit. There's a lap time been deleted there, actually, as now we only have 5 on the board. And that will have been that man who we have on screen there, actually, Antonio Albacete. Jochen Hahn has slowed down. He's decided not to go for a second lap, but Antonio hit a penalty marker at turn 10. So he now has to push. I mean, even if he just gets any lap time on the board, he'll be in 6th place and still be on the 3rd row of the grid when we get to race 1 tomorrow. But he doesn't want to be 6th on the grid. He wants to be on pole position. He will push like mad, nearly hits the penalty marker again as the back end of the truck swings around. Steffi Halm also trying to improve on her original lap time, wanting to get ahead of fellow Iveco driver Lucas Hahn, I can imagine. There he is, kicking up the dust on the exit of the chicane. Norbert Kish staying out of the way over on the right-hand side off the racing line. Antonio again dancing over that curb. He did clip that marker, but I don't think that was enough for it to be considered a track limits violation. We'll see. Around the long, very difficult final corner, Lucas Hahn across the line. Does he improve? Doesn't look like it. Antonio Albacete goes across the line. That's better for him. 4th position. Moves ahead of Steffi Halm and René Reinert. Steffi just misses out on improving on her lap time. So, once again, it will be Norbert Kish on pole position. 1 minute 53.678 the final time for him, ahead of Jochen Hahn, who will join him on the front row. But that man there, Lucas Hahn, welcome back to the championship, Lucas. 3rd place overall in his first qualifying session of the season. He will be buzzing with that one. He's normally got a smile on his face anyway, has Lucas. He's a very happy chap, but he will be even more happy with that. He's not been in the saddle for a while here. He was at the pre-season test at Most in Czechia, and since then, he's not been behind the wheel of these trucks in a competitive sense. And that is a hell of a way to come back with a 3rd place overall. On that final lap, he was only about a 10th and a half off of his best as well, so he wasn't completely miles off. And oh dearie me, according to my timing screen, Antonio Albacete has now dropped back down into 6th place with a time deleted, it looks like. The little clip of the penalty marker that I pointed out in the final sector was enough to remove that lap time. So that promotes Steffi Halm to 4th. René Reinert now 5th. Antonio Albacete will start on the outside of the 3rd row. René Reinert is instructed to head into scrutineering. He's almost saying no here. There's a bit of a Mexican standoff between himself and the official there. You'll have to join us and find out whether they've resolved that before race 1 tomorrow. But the scrutineering part of the pit lane is very early on as you head in, and then the entrance to the paddock that the rest of the drivers will take will be much further down. But Norbert Kish then back on pole position. Jochen Hahn back on the front row alongside him. Lucas Hahn top of the Chrome drivers by some margin as well. He's 3rd on the grid. Mark Taylor will start in 8th place. He's then got Bradley Smith in 10th, and then the rest of the field is all Chrome drivers from there. John Newell, Stefan Faas, Luke Garrett, Louis Requenco, Stefan Kirsch, Clemens Hecker, and Christian Ruppert, completing our 17 truck field here at the ADAC International Truck Grand Prix here at the Nürburgring. And here are the results. As we said, Norbert Kish fastest, Jochen Hahn and Lucas Hahn 2nd and 3rd. Steffi Halm will start on the 2nd row of the grid. Row 3 will be René Reinert and Antonio Albacete. Sasha Lenz will be hoping for a much better first race than he had qualifying session today, with Mark Taylor 8th. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez will start in 9th place. He's got Bradley Smith alongside him, the 2 young drivers that we've had so far this season. They'll be joined by Lucas Hahn for that later on in the weekend. We then have John Newell alongside Stefan Faas on row 6. Luke Garrett and Louis Requenco make up row 7. Stefan Kirsch, Clemens Hecker and Christian Ruppert will complete our field. Interested to see what differences there will be come tomorrow's action. Obviously, a difference in the weather can make all the difference here at the Nürburgring as well. And we'll go back down to Christina, shall we?
Es pfeift hier immer, wenn natürlich der Truck abkühlt. It's whistling, ladies and gentlemen, but that's absolutely normal. Das ist absolut normal, würde ich halt sagen. René Reinert, wir hören hier ein kleines Pfeifen, wenn der Truck abkühlt, aber das war ja mal ein Qualifying, jetzt auf Position 5 gelandet, weil Antonio Albacete, da wird die Zeit nochmal überprüft. Ja. Was sagt das Popometer?
Ja, rutschig. Strecke ist nicht einfach zu fahren. Wirklich schwierig. Und ich bin ein paar Jahre nicht gefahren hier, das ist so ein bisschen jetzt mein Nachteil und brauche ein paar Runden, brauche ein bisschen Zeit, um reinzukommen.
Für die englischen Zuschauerinnen und Zuschauer kurze Übersetzung. He's been not absent from the championship quite a while. So he said it's a very slippery track. The word popometer does not exist, but it's kind of the feeling in the seat where it's not a technical term. I think you understand me. But I think he's doing very well. Also das läuft ja bislang trotzdem, ne, dafür, dass du auch so lange nicht dabei warst.
Ja, ganz okay. Manchmal noch ein bisschen die Nerven, ist auch, ne, brauchst du auch. In der schnellen Runde jetzt in der Superpole, letzte Kurve zu viel gewollt und da habe ich bestimmt 3 Zehntel verloren. Die Runde war ganz okay, aber ja, letzte Kurve ist halt auch wichtig. Ne? Und natürlich braucht man auch ein bisschen Glück. Jetzt, ja, manchmal hat ein anderer auch einen Fehler oder so, ne, oder bekommt einen Penalty, dann geht es halt mal einen Platz vor. Aber generell ist schon mein Ziel, noch ein bisschen besser zu werden im Qualifying.
Ja, danke dir.
Danke auch.
So you're saying yes, of course, but sometimes it's also the nerves because at the last turn, he wanted too much. So he lost the 3,000ths of seconds then, but he said, yeah, I'm trying to getting better right now in this championship. Also wir sehen und wir hören, René Reinhardt ist wieder komplett da und natürlich will er auch noch ein bisschen was drauflegen hier gerade, sagt aber, wenn vielleicht jemand anders noch mal einen Fehler macht, ne, dann kommen wir ein bisschen weiter noch nach vorne. Jetzt hört das Pfeifen hier auch auf. It's getting quieter here right now. The whistling has stopped, so back to our commentators. Jetzt nochmal zu unseren Kommentatoren, bitte.
Thank you, Christina. Always good to hear from René Reinhardt. I was just saying, actually, here in the commentary box, it's good to see him back in the championship again this year, and he's certainly thriving back in the championship too, being the only non-Norbert Kish driver to win a race so far this season. It was a wonderful scene, though, back at the Lausitz-Ring when he did that. And as you can see, the weekend will continue on as the Dutch Truck Racing Championship will make its way to the grid in just a few moments' time. We're sharing the circuit this weekend with them, and as you can see in the background, the beautiful GT3 cars of the ADAC GT Masters Championship. I was walking up and down the pit lane earlier, enjoying the fantastic sounds of the V8s and V10s that they have on offer, but nothing quite like the sound of our racing trucks. And we hope for lots of racing action that will excite these marshals in particular later on during the weekend. We have race 1 coming up tomorrow at 10:30 local time. 2:25 will be race 2. And then when we move on to Sunday, it's a little bit more, let's call it normal on Sunday, with qualifying in 2 races coming up. Qualifying will be at 9:05 in the morning, so not too early a start. And then race 3 of the weekend will be at 12:25. And then race 4 will be just after 2:30 in the afternoon. The weather's looking wonderful out there, though, for the moment. We'll see how long that lasts, because as we've been saying, the Nürburgring is known for shifting weather in about 5 minutes. You can go from 30-degree sunshine to snow in about that time. And we're hoping that we don't see any snow, as we have done actually in the past here at the Nürburgring. But either way, should be a great weekend for it. I wonder if we're going to see that Fabia out on track at any point so far. Oh, sorry, later on in the weekend anyway. Still, nice and busy down there on the start-finish straight, as the rest of the trucks will now make their way around, and the fans will be treated to even more action in this very packed schedule that we have this weekend. But Norbert Kish back on top once again, and hoping to turn that into what will be his 10th race victory of the season. Back to Christina.
Also wie ihr seht, hier gibt es auch tatsächlich Leute mit Teamkleidung. Reinhardt, die sich hier auch noch mal gerade bedienen beim Team Lenz. Der steht nämlich da hinten, quatscht gerade noch mit John Newell. Aber wir sind mit ihm verabredet, dass wir gleich mal die erste Stimme hören. Denn das Qualifying war für ihn tatsächlich sehr, sehr schwer. So as you can see, fans from other teams trying to catch a glimpse of the other teams here. That's great. One truck family here at the paddock. And you can see Sascha Lenz joining us for an interview. Sascha, dieses Mal ja auf Deutsch. Wir sind ja jetzt zu Hus, ne?
Genau.
Insofern, das ist was.
Ja.
Trotzdem, es war jetzt auch ehrlicherweise ein schwieriges Qualifying für dich. Woran hat es jetzt nochmal, woran hat es gelegen?
Im Nachhinein fragt man sich immer, woran hat es gelegen. Ne? Aber ja, momentan habe ich keine Antwort darauf. Wir setzen uns gleich zusammen. Wir haben jetzt heute Abend, oder wir haben ja jetzt genug Zeit nach dem Parc Fermé. Und ja, wir haben ein paar Sachen geändert hier zum Nürburgring, aber scheinbar fruchten sie nicht. Also werden wir wohl das Auto über Nacht wieder umbauen, so wie wir um den Slowakei-Ring gefahren sind.
Ich übersetze das ganz kurz für die anderen Zuschauerinnen und Zuschauer international. So there've been some quite small detailed changes right now ahead of this championship here at the Nürburgring. But he said it does not work out. So they're trying to rebuild the track to the old structure of the Slovakia Ring during nighttime. Heißt also eine Nachtschicht für euch tatsächlich. Wie viele Stunden braucht sowas dann?
Das ist unterschiedlich. Also ich habe gute Jungs eigentlich. Ich kann mich auf sie verlassen. Keine Ahnung, vielleicht 3-4 Stunden oder so. Ich kann es dir noch nicht genau sagen.
Alles klar, dann alles Gute, ne? Bis dann. Und für dann eine kurze Nacht hoffen wir natürlich, nur was die Nachtschicht angeht. So they're trying to, ja stimmt, das stimmt besser. So he said, yeah, we're trying to work on it very quickly, so a couple of hours, 3 to 2 hours maybe, and wish them a long night. But I said short night because I thought I'm saying short term of working time, but of course they need a long night for sleeping. Und ich glaube, das brauchen wir jetzt auch eine ganz kurze Pause. Auf jeden Fall merkt man schon, dass schon ganz viel drin ist hier in diesem ersten Qualifying und ein paar Überraschungen jetzt schon mit dabei. Heißt aber auch, dass wir uns sehr auf das Rennwochenende freuen und morgen geht es natürlich dann weiter. 2 Rennen haben wir mit der Goodyear 4 Truck Europameisterschaft hier für euch im Gepäck. Das heißt, jetzt ist schon mal definiert, wer auf Pole starten wird, aber alles Weitere dann morgen in dem Rennen, in dem ersten Rennen. Jetzt seht ihr ja die Reihenfolge und im zweiten Rennen, da gibt es noch ein Reverse Grid. Das heißt, da tauschen wir nochmal. Derjenige oder diejenige, die auf Position 8 endet, startet dann ganz vorne weg. Da ist auch noch einiges geboten. Insofern freuen wir uns da sehr drauf. Dear Chaz, our international commentators, yes, thank you very much for joining us. Your voices are absolutely music in my ear. Thank you. Also nochmal ein Gruß an unsere internationalen Kommentatoren. Und dann übergeben wir jetzt gleich wieder an Lina van der Waals. Die ist nämlich jetzt gerade schon wieder beim Darts unterwegs gleich und wird mit Max Hopp, denke ich mal, ein paar Pfeile werfen. Mal gucken, ob sie dann da Bullseye trifft oder nicht. Ich wünsche euch ganz viel Spaß mit ihr und dann hören und sehen wir uns doch alle morgen wieder. Also bis dahin sage ich schon mal ciao und dann see you tomorrow. Bye bye.